Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
The FDA has granted emergency use authorization for the vaccine in 12 to 15-year-olds. I'm Alex Brachet in Washington. Coming up, the big question, will parents give their kids the shot?
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning, we're at a cool 65 degrees. I'll take it. And some of us got some rain last night.
And good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is May 11th, and I'm hearing one crack of thunder probably woke up all of San Antonio in the middle of the night.
I slept through everything.
Yeah?
I did. But it was nice and cool when I got up this morning.
Well, Mike's here now. Did that thunder wake you up last night?
No, as a matter of fact, it didn't. And there's nothing out there right now, but there's more. It's going to be brewing later on today. So it was getting rough last night, especially in parts of the hill country. At one time, there was a report of a 70 mile per hour wind gust at the airport in Hondo. And again, everything is clear on radar. A couple little specks, just some clutter there. But off to the west, off the mountains of Mexico, there are more disturbances, more showers and thunderstorms trying to develop, and that will all continue to kind of work its way in through the area throughout the course, especially this afternoon. We'll have some maybe late morning out to the west, and especially this afternoon and tonight once again. A little bit of fog around the area up around Kerrville. Although this has improved just in the past about half hour. Castroville has a little bit as well. And temperatures, yeah, a whole different story than yesterday. Everybody was in the 70s yesterday. Now it's only Pleasanton, 64 in town, 50s parts of the hill country. And these numbers really dropped down. Remember, all of these numbers were well up into the 70s. The dew point temperatures, but now we're basically below 60 with a couple of exceptions there. So yes, it is much more pleasant. Still got some humidity there in Castroville, but it's much more pleasant when you step outside this morning. Mold is on the moderate side, low amounts of grass, pigweed, and pecan. And throughout the rest of the morning, temperatures will stay basically steady, maybe fluctuate a degree or so. Less humid. There's still maybe a sprinkly shower here or there this morning, but we'll have a better chance for some rain later on today. 81 for a high temperature, and some of those showers and thunderstorms once again may be severe. Now, the whole area is under the marginal risk, a very small risk, but still large hail and high winds can be expected. So more rain today and more rain tomorrow. Then we get a break, and then guess what? Got more rain way down the road. Details on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Steph, Mark.
Thank you, Mike. This morning, a major announcement from the FDA. Children ages 12 to 15 will soon be able to get the Pfizer vaccine.
The news comes as nearly 60% of the adult population has received at least one dose of the vaccine. ABC's Alex Brachet has the latest from Washington.
A major relief for many families across the country. The FDA has authorized Pfizer's vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds after the company reported the vaccine was 100% effective in adolescents and posed no safety concerns.
Now, parents and guardians can rest assured that in making our decision, the agency undertook a rigorous and thorough review of all available scientific data.
The American Academy of Pediatrics calls the decision a critically important step.
There's still one more step before shots can go into arms, and that's for the CDC to take up the FDA's recommendation and give the green light, which is expected to occur Wednesday.
So as soon as Thursday, kids could get doses, the same two as adults. Plenty of time to get both shots before next school year. So far, about 58% of American adults have received at least one vaccine dose. But vaccine demand is also declining, down nearly 40% in the last month.
Misinformation, disinformation can cost people their lives. And if it's not your life directly, it could be someone that you love.
Now, doses are available everywhere, from beaches to bars, and a growing number of places are offering incentives. But there's also growing concern about how many parents will get their kids the shot. A recent survey found only 29% of parents of children under age 18 plan to get them vaccinated as soon as the shots become available, and 32% say they would wait to see how the vaccine is working.
Parents need to know that getting their children vaccinated is the fastest way to allow our children to go back to being kids.
Another incentive, Dr. Anthony Fauci has already signaled that because of increasing vaccination numbers, Americans may soon see relaxed guidelines for wearing masks indoors. Alex Brachet, ABC News, Washington.
Now an update on the coronavirus here at home. The number of people hospitalized remains around the 200 mark, but overall cases continue to trend downward. There are 108 new cases along with one new death reported. The positivity rate in Bexar County saw another drop. It now stands at 1.7%.
Our Spurs are our top story this morning after a huge win last night. Spurs return home to the AT&T Center, still in the running to make that play-in tournament, taking on the Bucks on Military Appreciation Night. Spurs showing their appreciation fans this time around. DeMar DeRozan had 23 points as the Silver and Black set a franchise record with 87 points in the first half and rolled to a decisive 146-125 victory over the Bucks. The Spurs win snapped a 5-game win streak for Milwaukee. The much-needed victory came 10 days after the Spurs blew a 32-point lead at Boston and lost in overtime. Spurs also tied their record for any half with 12 three-pointers in the first and finished 17 of 29 from long range. DeJounte Murray added 21 points. Keldon Johnson and Patty Mills had 20 each, and Rudy Gay scored 19. Mills and Gay combined to shoot 9 for 15 on three-point shots. Up next, the Spurs travel to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. That game is set for tomorrow night at 7 p.m. our time at Barclays Center. The magic number is now 1 game after New Orleans lost to the Memphis Grizzlies 115-110. But a huge win coming late in the season. Every one of them really helps at this point.
Yes, well, we really like to see this side of the Spurs.
Well, especially such a lopsided win over the number 3 team in the East. That is absolutely amazing. Right now, 436, about 65 degrees.
And still ahead on GMSA, lawmakers in Washington are arguing over major voting rights legislation that would bring about the largest overhaul of U.S. elections in a generation.
Outside with live cam, some of you saw showers and storms late yesterday into last night. Looks like the bulk of it missed San Antonio proper, but Mike says storms are still in the forecast. He has details coming up. Making headlines this morning, Republicans are preparing to challenge a sweeping voting rights bill supported by Democrats. The plan to force dozens of politically difficult votes during a hearing today that will spotlight an increasingly charged national debate over access to the ballot. The bill, as written, would bring about the largest overhaul of U.S. elections in a generation. Democrats say the changes are more important now as Republican-controlled states impose new voting restrictions. It's a motivating issue for Republicans as well. They plan to argue against public financing for congressional campaigns and an overhaul of the federal agency that polices elections.
U.S. officials are seeking to soothe concerns about price spikes or damage to the economy from last week's cyber attack on a major fuel pipeline. Officials stress that the fuel supply has so far not experienced widespread disruptions, and the pipeline company says it's working to get most things restored by this coming weekend. The White House says it is monitoring supply shortages in parts of the Southeast and that President Joe Biden has directed federal agencies to bring their resources to bear. Colonial Pipeline delivers about 45% of the fuel consumed on the East Coast.
A Houston man who had been free on bond from a murder charge is now under arrest after neighbors found a pet tiger wandering around a neighborhood Sunday. Houston police tweeted that 26-year-old Victor Hugo Cuevas was taken into custody last night, charged with felony evading arrest. Police had said they believed the tiger had belonged to Cuevas, but his attorney denied the cat belonged to him or that he was in his care. It was in his care, rather. Police said the tiger's whereabouts are still not known. Police said that Cuevas returned the tiger to his house and then drove it away as officers arrived.
And time now is 4:41 and about 65 degrees right now.
Summer's coming up. That might mean time for outdoors for you and your family, but the hotter weather also means the Texas tick population is going up. A little bit more about how you can protect yourself.
Also next, getting cash for sharing your car with car rental prices soaring, what many vehicle owners are doing to bring in a few more funds. And welcome back. It's about 4:44. Car rental prices are soaring nationwide, and travelers are now turning to car sharing companies that let people rent from individuals. ABC's Gio Benitez has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, getting cash for sharing your car? As millions start to travel, car rental prices are soaring in vacation hotspots.
On the Hopper app alone, we've seen a 500% increase in demand for short rental car trips since the beginning of this year. And the supply just isn't there right now.
And some top destinations are seeing extreme shortages and price spikes, like California, Nevada, Hawaii, and Florida. To counter the shortage, many are now turning to peer-to-peer car sharing services like Turo, Getaround, and Avail. Turo says the average annual income for those renting out just one of their cars, more than $10,000. But what about insurance? And what happens if someone using your car gets into an accident? It's all coming up at 7 a.m. With your GMA First Look, I'm Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
In between storms, as we spend more time outdoors, keep in mind the tick population is increasing across the country.
Here's 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz with the best ways to protect yourself from these bugs and the diseases they can spread.
Warm weather in the great outdoors, perfect for camping, hiking, and ticks.
Ticks can be found from coast to coast, and the number of tick-borne diseases like Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Lyme disease in particular have been on the rise in recent years, so it's really important to take proper precautions.
Deer ticks, Lone Star ticks, brown dog, and American dog ticks are the most common in Texas, and all can spread disease. Your best defense is a good offense. Yes, it's hot out, but if you're in a grassy or wooded area, long pants are best.
It's also a good idea to wear light colors so that it's easier to see any ticks that may be crawling on you.
Insect repellent should be applied to any exposed skin as well as to the outside of your clothing. Consumer Reports found that repellents containing 15 to 30% DEET work best. But if you want to avoid DEET, they also recommend some with 30% oil of lemon eucalyptus or 20% picaridin. Two they recommend as best buys: Total Home Woodland Scent Insect Repellent and 3M Ultrathon Insect Repellent.
Showering can wash away any ticks that may be on your skin but not yet attached, and it's an opportunity to check your skin for any bites.
If you're bitten by a tick, don't panic. Carefully remove it with tweezers. The sooner you can remove them, the less likely they are to spread disease. Also, many ticks like to attach to dogs, so don't forget to protect your pets as well. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Mike goes to age, messing with us off camera. 4:47. Are you ready to talk weather? No?
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 Okay.
Oh, Mike, is it weather time right now?
Yes, it is.
I forgot about traffic. That's what I get for messing around here. So
He's literally off camera. We're trying to toss over to him, and he's doing this.
Go ahead and go.
I can't think. I don't know. Sam's
It's okay. So should I do to him what I normally do?
Oster H party of 3. Your table's now available. Oster H party of 3.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, a lot of rain around the area last night, and get ready for more rain later on today as well as tomorrow. And who's run into this situation before? Waiting for it to let up a little bit so you can run inside, because when it's coming down in buckets like that, it would, you'd get soaked in about 2 seconds. But it is beautiful to see some of this rain. We don't need the severe weather. We did have severe storms last night. There were a lot of reports of hail in portions of the hill country. And as I mentioned off the top of the show, a lot of reports of very high wind. Hondo Airport, about 70 mile per hour wind gust at one point. So nothing is going on right now. A couple of damp spots on the roads, but just where it showed where it had rained last night. No puddles or anything like that, at least what I ran into. Big difference this morning in the dew point temperatures. The humidity has really dropped down. That front we were talking about is sort of lying just to the south of us right now, so the wind's out of the northeast. Now, we will still be up right around 80, low 80s later on today, but back to the dew points. Look at that, down 13 degrees compared to this time yesterday when we had just all that soupy air out there that was left over from Sunday. And as far as the satellite picture, notice how this was going back 12 hours ago with the radar, and those storms just blew up right around Eagle Pass, moved on in, and then sort of fell apart late last night, and not before they dumped a whole bunch of rain, and right where it was needed, out to the west and to the southwest. And then the US 90 corridor, I mean, if you lived anywhere near 90, you picked up a whole bunch of rain. On average, 2.5, close to 3 inches. Some of the estimates on radar right now, and we did get some here in town. The airport officially picked up about maybe 1/100 of an inch of rain. You may have gotten more in your backyard. There's nothing on radar right now, but again, more of these disturbances are brewing out here. There's a lot of energy in the atmosphere, and despite the fact that we do have cooler and somewhat drier air. The air is still unstable, so we're still going to have to watch out for potentially strong to severe storms. So here's the rapid update computer model, and by even early afternoon, we got some of those showers and thunderstorms, kind of like yesterday, developing out there in the hill country. They will continue to pop up, and even going in toward late afternoon and dinner time, working their way across the area. High winds and hail, once again, are the biggest threats, and then those will continue to move on through here. A lot of it should be gone, or at least settling down overnight, but we'll still have another round of rain, at least in the first portion of the day tomorrow. And again, the severe threat does exist for all of the area throughout especially late this afternoon and into tonight. The marginal risk as of right now for high winds and, again, large hail. Forecast today. If there's a sprinkle around this morning, especially off to the west, don't be surprised by that. A couple of showers at noon, even a thunderstorm trying to develop mainly out to the west. 75 degrees, and then a high temperature today up to 81. Again, showers and a few storms. Some of those are going to be strong, severe going into the evening hours. We'll have more rain around tomorrow, only 70, so that front will continue to kind of drift down to the south. More sunshine on Thursday, Friday. I don't think it will completely clear out, but we'll have more sunshine, 75 and 80 respectively on those 2 days. And that's before the next round of rain moves on in here. So just think, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we were dying for rain.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I mean, we had a ton of it 10 days ago, and we're got more and going to be getting more.
Yeah, Justin Horn's drought analysis shows this really truly has been a drought buster for many areas.
And it seems like, do the worst spot, and it went right there and really helped out quite a bit.
And Mike, just so you know, you have 4 more reservations this morning for a full weather forecast, okay?
We'll keep you posted.
Hang tight. Yeah. Steph will keep you on track.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. 4:51 on your Tuesday morning.
And coming up next, a major shakeup with the Golden Globes. Why even Tom Cruise is giving back 3 of his awards.
Big 3 numbers this morning: 336 Fireball 7. Daily 4 number 7536 Fireball 1.
Cash 5, 3, 5, 14, 15, 16. And your text is 2-step 5, 17, 21, 32. Bonus ball 10.
Some major news on the Golden Globes, plus we may be getting one more album from DMX.
For the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Jason Nathanson.
A major Hollywood bombshell. Next year's Golden Globes won't be going to anyone, at least not on the air of broadcast partner NBC. The network says it won't air the 2022 show, as the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, the group behind the Globes, will not have made significant changes to its organization in time for next year's show. The HFPA has been under pressure since the LA Times revealed earlier this year that the group had 0 black members, among other issues. The HFPA says in a statement, implementing change remains the top priority for its organization. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise is giving back his Golden Globes. He's one of many stars distancing themselves from the HFPA, returning 3 Globes he's been given over the years, including 2 Best Actor statues for Born on the 4th of July and Jerry Maguire. X is going to give us at least one more album. DMX's label Def Jam says a posthumous album of all new original material will be out May 28th. It'll be called Exodus, put together by his longtime producer and friend Swiss Beats, who says DMX couldn't wait for fans around the world to hear it. DMX died last month at the age of 50. And original MTV VJ Martha Quinn with a birthday today. She's 62. And that's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Feels so old.
Martha.
Martha Quinn, 62. My generation speaking back to me from all these years later. 4:56 on your Tuesday morning.
And still ahead on GMSA, the FBI confirming new details about the group accused of conducting a cyber attack on a major U.S. pipeline.
Plus, ever shared an article on Facebook without reading it all the way through? How Facebook is trying to change that habit, coming up in Tech Bites.
Let's take a quick look outside with TransGuide this morning. There's 281 at Loop 410. Things seem to be running smoothly, but we will be checking in with Samuel King after the break.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
Lightning hits a home on the northeast side overnight, sparking a fire. Details just ahead.
Plus, White House officials are trying to soothe concerns about price spikes or damage to the economy due to that cyber attack on a major fuel pipeline.
So we had rain and storms overnight here in SA, but it looks like the nastiest storms missed us. But Mike is not ruling out more showers and storms for the time being. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, May 11th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. If anything, if you miss the rain when you step outside, you'll notice it's a little cooler.
Yeah, maybe rain-cooled skies, Mike Osterhage?
Well, a little bit of that front that moved on through here, because the wind has shifted around. Yeah, temperatures are lower, the humidity is lower, so it is much, much more comfortable. Now, we'll still be up around low 80s later on today. Now, it beats yesterday's 87 degrees, and then even cooler the next couple of days. 63 right now. That dew point, that bottom number, remember yesterday, that was well up into the low 70s. It was just soupy out there. That was left over from Mother's Day, and wind is out of the north at 10 miles per hour. We are going to make it up, like I said, low 80s later on today. We still have more showers and thunderstorms in the forecast this afternoon, and then going into this evening. The aquifer down 0.3 of a foot, but a lot of rain fell in the recharge zone, so that should probably do an about face and start going up the next couple of days. And we've got even more rain down the road. More on that coming up. Mold's moderate, and low amounts of grass, pigweed, as well as pecan. We don't have anything showing up on radar right now. We had a few, obviously, some showers and thunderstorms last night. Some of those were on the severe side, especially off to the west. There are a couple of showers well off to the west, coming off the mountains of Mexico. A lot of these disturbances and all this energy is going to be moving to the east throughout the course of the morning and the afternoon. So even by, say, early afternoon, we're going to start to see some of these thunderstorms developing out there in portions of the hill country. A lot of fog out to the northwest as well. Rock Springs, zero visibility, just 3/4 of a mile junction, 1.5 miles in Fredericksburg. So we'll have to watch out for that, because some of this cooler air came on in here, and there's still some leftover moisture around, and a couple of the reasons why we're seeing some of that fog out there to the northwest. Less humid. Maybe a sprinkly shower around the area today, this morning. I just can't kind of rule it out. And then showers and thunderstorms, and low 80s for a high temperature today. And then also some of those storms may become severe later on, late this afternoon as well as tonight. More showers and some thunderstorms tomorrow, and even cooler tomorrow. Then we'll end up with some sunshine to finish out the work week. Then we have kind of a wet weekend in store, more rain. By the way, severe threat does exist again today, just the smaller, lowest on the scale, if you will, but still large hail and high winds are going to be the biggest threat. We'll talk about the weekend coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority Samuel King is in the studio. What's going on, sir? Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everyone out there. Seeing some issues. We had some issues overnight, I should say, but those are starting to quickly clear up. So that's a good thing as we head over here to the wall. One issue we had, there's a crash last night involving 18-wheelers overturned I-10 East at Loop 1604. We just got the word that this has finally been cleared. They've been cleaning this up all night, but it looks like those lanes on 1604 and I-10 on the east side have been cleared. So looking at that, travel time coming in from Seguin are fairly normal, 29 minutes, green all around, including 26 on 35 for New Braunfels. 25 minutes coming in on I-10 from Bernie into downtown San Antonio. And here is a look at TransGuide, Loop 410 at Broadway. A little clouds and mist there, but otherwise traffic flowing well at the moment. We'll have another update coming up.
New this morning, Family Tapestry, the wing of the San Antonio Children's Shelter responsible for its community-based care initiative, has canceled its contract with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
This move comes after the nonprofit was required to remove all children in its care at their emergency shelter and place them in other facilities 2 weeks ago. Sarah Costa is live downtown with a troubling history behind the Family Tapestry. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie. Well, state officials late last month issued a placement hold at Family Tapestry's emergency shelter, citing unacceptable conditions and ongoing capacity issues, which caused the emergency shelter to close down. Shortly after that, shelter leadership put out an action plan to help these problems 2 weeks ago, but now the nonprofit has canceled its contract with the state. Incidents at the now shuttered Whataburger Center included a 16-year-old in their care who attempted suicide by ingesting a metal bolt, and a 15-year-old girl who used a spring from a toilet paper holder to harm herself in the chest. That's according to a federal monitor's report. After the 15-year-old was taken to a psychiatric facility, she ran away from staff and picked up a glass bottle from a construction site and threatened to harm herself again, the report states. The monitor's report described that incident as, quote, neglectful supervision. The future of the state's community-based care initiative is expected to be discussed today at a House Human Services Committee meeting at the Texas legislature. Now, the Defenders team did reach out to a spokeswoman with the children's shelter to request a comment, but we did not receive a response. Live from downtown, I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. Mark and Stephanie.
Thank you, Sarah. New this morning, a lightning strike sparks a house fire on the city's northeast side, and that happened last night. It happened just before 11 p.m. in the 4300 block of Jeff's Farm, not far from Seguin Road. According to firefighters, a lightning struck the house and caused a small fire in the attic. The one person living in the house was able to get out safely.
Now to the latest on that cyber attack that shut down one of the country's biggest gas pipelines.
Today marks the fourth day the pipeline has been shut down, and now we're hearing from the cyber criminals allegedly responsible for it. ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi has the latest.
The cyber criminal gang accused of shutting down a major U.S. fuel pipeline is now acknowledging the attack, writing on its website that it's all about money. The FBI confirms the group based in Russia known as DarkSide developed a ransomware which has crippled the East Coast pipeline for 4 days.
We are preparing for multiple possible contingencies and considering what additional steps may be useful to mitigate any potential disruptions to supply.
According to Reuters, DarkSide posted a statement Monday saying it, quote, never meant to create havoc, and our goal is to make money and not creating problems for society. The hackers will not publicly say how much money they want. According to the pipeline's owner, some manually operated smaller terminals of the line are now up and running again, but the main pipeline is not expected to resume full operations for several more days. The economic consequences already being felt.
It affects anyone that needs to drive a car to and from work, to and from school, to and from a store to get groceries.
Experts say the shutdown could extend the recent jump in gas prices, already up 6 cents a gallon in the last week. A handful of gas stations like this one in North Carolina have run out of fuel. The pipeline shutdown also impacting the airline industry. Overnight, American Airlines said some nonstop flights from Charlotte, North Carolina will now make stops to pick up fuel where it is more abundantly available. In the meantime, President Biden says he'll be speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the cyber attack, given that the hackers are a Russia-based group. U.S. intelligence has not yet tied Putin's Kremlin to the attack. Mona Kassar Abdi, ABC News, New York.
A San Antonio mother beyond heartbroken after losing her 6-year-old daughter to gun violence on Sunday night. Soraya Perez was in her car seat while her mother took her to a car club gathering near Southwest 24th Street and West Commerce. San Antonio police say an altercation erupted, escalating to shots being fired as the car Soraya was in drove off to get away from that attack. She was hit in the torso area and later died at the hospital. Police later arrested 23-year-old Andrew Ray Elizondo in connection with the shooting. The community holding a vigil honoring the little girl they say was very loving.
She loved wearing big bows. I'll never be able to put another big bow on her head.
It took a young, beautiful child, from us, from this world. How many more do we have to lose before we say that's it?
Chief William McManus says this investigation is far from over. He says if there are others connected to this shooting, they will be arrested. Elizondo remains in the Bexar County Jail facing a capital murder charge.
Right now it's 5:08, about 65 degrees.
And still ahead, how Facebook wants to make sure you've read an article before you share it.
Novel idea. Next, U.S. just had its largest single-year decrease in birth rates in nearly 50 years. We're going to take a closer look at why that may have happened.
And taking a look outside with live cam, a nice cool 65 degrees this morning, and we are expecting more rain. Mike with the details later on.
The U.S. birth rate fell 4% last year, the largest single-year decrease in nearly 50 years, according to a government report being released Wednesday. That report, part of the 10-year census data that demographers continue to follow closely.
Sarah Costa breaks down the highlights from the report and the potential reasons behind that falling birth rate.
The birth rate dropped for moms of every major race and ethnicity and nearly every age group in the U.S., falling to the lowest point since federal health officials started tracking it more than a century ago. Births have been declining in younger women for years as many postponed motherhood and had smaller families, according to the U.S. Census data. Birth rates For women in their late 30s and in their 40s have been inching up, but not last year, according to the Associated Press. The lead author of the new report says the fact that you saw declines in births even for older moms is quite striking, according to Brady Hamilton of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The pandemic no doubt contributed to last year's big decline, according to experts. Anxiety about COVID-19 and its impact on the economy likely caused many couples to think that having a baby right then was a bad idea. But many of the 2020 pregnancies began well before the U.S. epidemic. CDC researchers are working on a follow-up report to better analyze how the decline unfolded. About 3.6 million babies were born in the U.S. last year, down from about 3.75 million in 2019. When births were booming in 2007, the U.S. recorded 4.3 million births. The current generation is getting further away from having enough children to replace itself. The low birth rate has economists concerned about how this can define the nation's future. It has them raising questions like, where will all the tax dollars that fund Social Security and Medicare come from to support a larger aging population? I'm Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News. Guys.
And time now is 5:13 and about 65 degrees right now.
Still ahead, why a popular app will gradually just stop working if you don't do one thing. We'll tell you what it is.
Plus, we're going to tell you how Spotify is making it easier to share your favorite podcasts.
What can I do with less asthma? With Dupixent, I can do more yard work, teamwork, long walks.
Hi, Tim. Game on!
That's how you do more with Dupixent, which helps prevent asthma attacks. Dupixent's not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that can improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks and can reduce or even eliminate oral steroids. And here's something important. Dupixent can cause serious allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. Get help right away if you have rash, shortness of breath, chest pain, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection, and don't change or stop your asthma treatments, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Are you ready to do more with less asthma?
Hey, come on!
Just ask your asthma specialist about Dupixent.
5:17, welcome back to GMSA. Facebook is testing a new feature that will encourage users to read an article before sharing it. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has details in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, Facebook is trying to get you to read articles before you share them. The site is testing a pop-up that will ask users if they want to share an article that they haven't opened, but users have the option to share anyway. It's similar to a Twitter feature introduced last year. WhatsApp says users who don't opt in to its new privacy policy won't lose their accounts. However, their functionality will be progressively limited until they say yes. The policy allowing information to be shared with parent company Facebook takes effect this weekend. And finally, a new way to get right to the point in a podcast. Spotify is now letting listeners share a specific timestamp. It allows others to begin listening to the podcast at the same spot. Spotify hopes it attracts new listeners who will sign up for subscriptions. Those are your Tech Bites. Have a great day.
5:18.
Let's go ahead and check in with Samuel King. Last look at the roads was pretty calm.
Yeah, pretty calm. Had some construction overnight. Actually had a big crash overnight too on the east side, but that has all now been cleared. So a lot of green on the map, which is what we like to see. Also, just letting folks know on the northwest side, the 1604 project getting underway. So TxDOT had some overnight ramp closures. Those should be picked up by now, but there's going to be weeknights, Monday through Friday for the next few weeks. Eastbound 1604 to La Cantera Parkway, also eastbound 1604 to Vance Jackson. This is just the appetizer to the big work that is expected to start next month. So 1604 major project there. We've always been telling you about this 281 project and at 1604. Looking at the travel times right now, 7 minutes each way. But TxDOT reports that they're hoping that they hope to open those ramps, some of them to the northbound lanes. So 1604 to northbound 281. A lot of people have been asking questions about that, but they finally have seemed to open at least a set of those ramps. So that's good for people who will use 281 and 1604 every day to get around. Now looking at TransGuide 35 at Powell, traffic building a little bit, but flowing well this morning, guys.
Not too bad. Thank you, Samuel.
Still nice going up 281 like that, and all of a sudden you're just like, wow, I'm at TPC Parkway already?
See, I live in that area, and it's every morning I'm like, wow, it's like a whole new day.
Used to take about, 3 days to get from 1604 up to TPC Parkway.
Sometimes 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, small victories.
All right, it was, this precursor to all the rain last night. Weird looking sky. A lot of folks in San Antonio area are in for a semi-sleepless night, and a lot of folks did have a sleepless evening last night because of those big storms that moved in through basically our western counties, got to San Antonio and pretty much died down then. We don't really have anything showing up on radar right now. Everything is pretty dry on all the roads around town, and most noticeably, when you open up the door this morning, it's going to be like, wow, what a difference. I mean, a huge difference from yesterday. Temperatures are down about 10 degrees or so. We were hovering around the low 70s yesterday. Dew point temperatures are down as well, so the air is much, much drier. There's really nothing showing up on radar. Maybe a couple little sprinkles here and there. There are some more thunderstorms that are developing out there to the west, and all that energy is going to continue to work its way on in here. So yesterday made it up to 87 here in town, Pleasant to 93, 102. I mean, just scorching hot again down to the south, but then only 70s up in our extreme northern counties. And later on today, it's going to be almost the same story. Very, very hot down to the south and much cooler up to the north. Now, 81 is not cool, but it is lower than yesterday's 87 degrees. And then we're going to be even cooler tomorrow, take off about another 10. And that's where we're going to be tomorrow, down in the low 70s. Now, as far as the computer model, now this is kind of a longer range model. And this one is a little more kind of broad brush, but a little more aggressive with some of the rain and showers and thunderstorms developing by late this afternoon and then working their way across the area. And it looks like we will have kind of the same scenario where we'll have showers, thunderstorms developing late in the afternoon into the evening hours, sort of settling down. Few more showers tomorrow, basically the first portion of the day. Might have a couple of leftovers then, but a lot of it's going to be ending by late in the day. Thursday, Friday, some sunshine mixed in with some of the clouds around here. And then Saturday morning, got some more showers moving on in. And by the evening, more rain on Sunday. And even going into Monday, looks like we will have some more rain around here. So we're getting what we asked for. Again, a couple of weeks ago, who would have thought we'd be getting all this rain? We were desperately in need of it, and there is definitely more on the way. 75 degrees today at noon, couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two developing out to the west. More going to be developing throughout the afternoon hours, 81. And again, some of those may become severe. There is the marginal risk, the very small risk, but still there for all of the area as far as high winds and hail. And then tomorrow we will have some more rain around here. Should start to taper off later on in the day. 70 for a high temperature tomorrow. That's it. 60 for lows, which means 50s in a good chunk of the hill country. We may even dip down in the upper 50s here in town. Some sunshine Thursday, Friday, and more rain chances over the weekend, first of next week.
Well, we'll enjoy the break in temperatures for now, though.
It's really pleasant when you step outside this morning.
And especially your morning temperatures throughout the week. Those aren't too bad.
Not bad at all.
When we're over 70 for a morning low, we know where we're headed, right?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you,
Back
Mike.
to normal.
5:23 on your Tuesday.
And still ahead in your morning spotlight, you can now say goodbye for now to the 2022 Golden Globes, plus another Marvel movie superstar joining the Knives Out sequel.
A Golden Award show looking increasingly tarnished.
CNN's David Daniel has that and more entertainment news in today's Hollywood Minute.
The Golden Globe Awards appear in jeopardy. Questions about the Hollywood Foreign Press Association's lack of diversity and alleged ethical lapses prompted the group to announce changes last week. But Netflix, Amazon, and Warner Media all called them insufficient, saying they'd stop working with the HFPA. Then NBC announced it won't air the awards show next year, though it left the door open to future broadcasts if it sees meaningful reform.
For me, it was just fun.
Dave Bautista is ready for a tongue-in-cheek murder mystery. He's joined the cast of the sequel to Rian Johnson's Knives Out. Bautista joins Daniel Craig, the only cast member from the original film confirmed to return for the follow-up. Come From Away is the latest show to announce it's coming back after Broadway closed due to the pandemic. The Tony-winning musical is set to return September 21st, and tickets are now on sale. The show posted a promo video of cast members returning to the Schoenfeld Theater. They hope audiences will follow.
Come on in, the door's open!
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And the audiences will be back on the Great White Way. Right now, 527, about 65 degrees.
The FDA has now authorized Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine for kids 12 to 15 years old. But there's one more step before officials give it the final thumbs up. Still ahead on GMSA, what pediatricians are doing to prepare and what parents can do too.
Suicide was a tough topic to talk about, but during Mental Health Awareness Month, we're looking at silent signs your teen may be struggling without you even knowing it.
And we're going to tell you how you can get some essential items at Bed Bath & Beyond for just a little cheaper. Hi, good morning, and it's Tuesday, May 11th.
Traffic and weather coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Mike Osterhage joins us now, and he is not ruling out another shower or storm.
No, and also potentially more severe storms later on this afternoon going into tonight around the area. Right now, we're kind of at a lull in the action. We had a lot of those big storms last night. A lot of high winds were reported. Hondo Airport, about 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts were reported. We had many individual severe thunderstorm warnings that were posted in parts of the hill country. And again, things have settled down. There's actually nothing being picked up on radar as of right now. And most noticeably, when you step outside this morning, it's really nice. I mean, it's pleasant. 63 degrees. Dew point stands at 60, which means the air is much, much drier than what it was yesterday at this time, when that number was up about, low 70s. Wind has shifted around out of the north at 10 miles per hour. So that front we were talking about is just barely kind of edged its way down through the area. Now, we do have some fog around, especially up to the north. Austin, 5 miles visibility. Same thing to Braunfels, 0 Rock Springs, 1.5 Mile Junction, as well as Fredericksburg, and just hints of it here and there. And again, nothing is being picked up on radar right now, but there are a few showers and some thunderstorms that are trying to pop up off the mountains of Mexico. There's all this energy which is going to be coming on in here, and later on late this morning and then especially this afternoon, more of these storms are going to get going out here in parts of the hill country. We'll be up to 75 degrees today at noon, 81 for a high temperature, so down considerably compared to yesterday's 87 degrees, and then knock off about another 10 degrees, and that's what our high is going to be tomorrow. We will have more of those showers and thunderstorms, and then especially going into tonight. More rain tomorrow, primarily the first half of the day, and like I said, cooler temperatures. Nice break in the action toward the end of the week. Guess what? More rain down the road. Details on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Samuel King. Anything big out there, sir?
Not too big, but we do have an incident right now, Mike. This is 1604. This is the view from Bandera Road looking to the south and west at Braun Road, where we have some sort of crash there. We've been seeing some vehicles go back and forth. In fact, it looked like a tow truck was just pulling up there in this area. So thankfully it is early. We know we get some delays in that area of 1604 later in the morning, and you see some traffic there on 1604. But otherwise, things are flowing okay, but you're seeing people slowing down in that area. Again, 1604 at Braun Road. This was Bandera. This is where you were looking down at this area. So just something to watch out for if you commute in that area between Braun and Bandera Road. Looking at the rest of the region, not too bad right now. Pretty green all around, including in Seguin and New Braunfels and Floresville and the like. So that's good. And looking at our travel times, just to give you an overview, 30 minutes now coming in from Seguin on I-10, 25 minutes from New Braunfels. Looking to the west, 24 minutes coming in on I-10 from Bernie, and then 26 minutes on 281 from Bulverde. So maybe you're seeing the impact of some of that, more of that construction getting going there and getting more completed. So we'll have another update on traffic, including 1604 coming up. Mark, Stephanie?
Thank you, Sammy. The FDA has already authorized it, and today the CDC will vote on whether to recommend Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine to kids ages 12 to 15 years old.
However, as CNN's Brett Conway reports, pediatricians are already preparing, and doctors say there are preparations parents can make too.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, stick.
Pfizer just got the FDA's stamp of approval to extend the emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine for kids 12 to 15 years old. The FDA calls it a significant step in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
It was a relatively straightforward decision. The response to the vaccine was excellent, and in fact, it was even better in the younger age group.
Now it's up to the CDC. A vaccine advisory committee will meet Wednesday to decide whether to recommend the vaccine for that age group. Because it's the same vaccine, it's already available in a number of places, and pediatricians are prepping to get the vaccine too, making sure they have a freezer that's cold enough, training staff, and figuring out record keeping. They're also talking to parents. Childhood vaccinations have plunged since the pandemic began, and doctors say parents need to make sure their kids are up to date on all of their vaccines, knowing COVID-19 vaccines could be available by Thursday.
Getting more of our population vaccinated is critical to moving forward and past this pandemic.
Some parents are hesitant.
For my children, great immune systems, healthy, and we don't know what the vaccine does yet.
Others are ready, grateful.
A lot of peace of mind, a huge relief, to know that there's something out there that can protect him and all of our kids.
Okay, all set.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming may soon find out her fate. GOP House members were told to anticipate a vote tomorrow on Cheney's conference chair position. She's expected to be removed due to her opposition of former President Trump's claims he won the 2020 election. Cheney, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney, also voted in favor of the second impeachment of Trump and blasted him for his role in the January 6th siege on the U.S. Capitol. If Cheney is ousted, she may be replaced by Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York. Stefanik's voting record is less conservative than Cheney's, but Stefanik is a vocal Trump supporter.
And what pioneering American woman would you like to see featured on a run of U.S. quarters? The National Women's History Museum wants to know your ideas for the new American Women Quarters program. So far, poet Maya Angelou and astronaut Sally Ride have earned the honor. Coins with their likeness will be out next year. Their faces will be on one side of the quarters with first President George Washington on the front. Up to 5 American female icons can be selected.
5:36 now.
Still ahead, need a job fast? Well, Chipotle is hiring. We're going to tell you how much you can make an hour.
And parents on a mission hoping to save your child from the tragedy of suicide. Up next, the important and silent signs that your teen may be struggling.
And taking a look outside with live cam, you can enjoy this nice 65 degrees for now. We are expecting rain, though, later today.
Welcome back to GMSA. Just about 5:40 on your Tuesday morning. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this year, as it comes, we all may need a little mental health help. For most of us, the vaccination and an easing of restrictions will be enough to lift our spirits.
Others are fighting a deeper demon, especially our young people. Although numbers are not out yet for the last year, suicide is the second leading cause of death in people 10 to 34.
There are signs you may think are just normal teenage behavior, but may actually indicate your teen is in trouble. David Sears has the details.
My 8-year-old daughter came down the stairs and said Hayden hung himself.
Hayden Huxtable was just 4 days shy of his 13th birthday when he took his own life. His dad posted this YouTube video to warn other parents of the impact social isolation had on his son.
I ran upstairs. I tried.
Natalie Gillette hid her depression in high school and was in college when she first had suicidal thoughts.
She wasn't going to classes. She was staying in the dark.
Mary Dudick lost her daughter.
She was in such pain that in her irrational state of mind, that was a choice she made.
Now, both parents are speaking out about suicide. Half of all mental illness manifests by age 14 and 75% by age 24. It's important to look for warning signs early and allow your child to express their feelings. Don't be judgmental and be available for them. Now, Hayden's dad is working to get the message out through PSAs like this one.
I want nobody ever to see what I saw, to feel this pain.
2 parents sharing their story, hoping to save your child. For GMSA, I'm David Sears.
5:41 on your Tuesday morning.
And coming up next, we're going to tell you which items at Bed Bath & Beyond will soon become more affordable.
544, when jury trials begin next month, it'll be a whole new way of doing business at the Bexar County Courthouse. A new jury schedule, including both in-person trials and virtual ones, has just been published.
Paul Venema explains how it will work and how it will affect judges and prospective jurors.
At first glance, this schedule looks complicated. It affects all 44 courts, criminal, civil, and misdemeanor.
The process itself is confusing and complicated, but at the same time, it's going to be more efficient.
Ron Helt, who put the schedule together, says it requires careful planning.
Every single day, there will be 6 different jury trials. It will be started, 4 live jury trials and 2 virtual jury trials on the civil side.
For judges, that means selecting cases for trial. For jurors, the schedule means standing in long lines in crowded hallways will be over. All individual screening will be done online.
When jurors go to a courtroom, there will be a certain court specifically with the time waiting for them to come in with a specific jury trial prepared to go forward.
The new schedule goes into effect on the 28th of this month.
There is nothing that is etched in stone. Everything is always, we just take it as it comes. We analyze whether it works, see what doesn't, and alter ourselves accordingly.
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
In your morning consumer headlines, Bed Bath & Beyond says it's launching a line of low-cost everyday items. The new in-house brand is called Simply Essential. It includes more than 1,200 items like $4 towels and $5 pillows. Bed Bath & Beyond says it's been pricing out some customers who've been turning to places like Amazon and Target for inexpensive home goods. The company adds its private label items are more profitable.
Chipotle has announced wage increases. The chain says workers will now get an average of $15 an hour. New pay starts in the coming weeks. Chipotle also says some employees could be promoted to general manager within 3.5 years. And that position has an average compensation of about $100,000. Chipotle, like other chains in the fast food industry, are trying to staff up for summer. The industry has been struggling to hire workers amid the pandemic. More than 1/3 of all Americans are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 just in time for summer travel.
ABC's Karen Travers speaks with experts about how Americans can safely travel as coronavirus restrictions continue to ease around the globe.
Summer is just around the corner, and after a year of COVID-19 lockdowns, Americans are itching for a change of scenery.
I think that pent-up demand for travel is really finally starting to get released, and people are excited now booking flights and travel again.
The TSA says traveler numbers are quickly approaching pre-pandemic levels.
I don't worry as much because I'm vaccinated already.
So how can you score the best deals and travel safely? We talked to the experts to get tips. First, now is the time to book that getaway you've been waiting for over a year.
If you wait until even mid or late May to book your flights, chances are there's not going to be any cheap summer flights left.
Most travelers pick their destination, then their dates, and then look at pricing. But to get the best deals, experts say flip that script. Search for cheap flights out of where you live, then settle on a destination that most interests you.
And that's how you're able to take 3 or 4 vacations for the same price you used to pay for one.
And be sure to pay attention to the COVID-19 guidelines at your desired destination. Some countries require a quarantine or proof of vaccination. Elsewhere, you just need to show a negative COVID test. Once your tickets are booked and it's time to travel, safety is key. And air travel may be better than you think.
The fact that masks are required and the fact that airplanes have all these safety features built in makes it a far safer environment.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
It is now 5:48.
Let's go ahead and check back with Samuel King.
Well, we had a situation, Stephanie, Mark, at 1604 at Braun. This is the view from Bandera looking to the south and west, but just within the past 5 minutes or so, emergency vehicles have left, so that section has reopened. So that's a good thing here for drivers on 1604, because we know this can back up beginning here shortly. But again, 1604 at Braun, there's a crash here, and look, it's with double icons there, but looks again, as we can see, that it is mostly cleared at the moment. Looking at the rest of the area, not too much going on. Do have a stalled vehicle here on 37 at Fair, but other than that, things looking fine. And speaking of traveling, we're talking about more people getting on the roads, and also with the pipeline disruption, gas prices are starting to tick up. So we'll start at the United States average $2.98 That's up in the past week to 70 across the state of Texas. That is actually going up a little faster than the United States average. 261 in Bexar County, still among the lowest in the state of Texas. So that's a look at that, and we'll keep an eye on this, of course, this week as we see what happens after the pipeline gets disrupted. Hopefully that gets going again, so don't need any extra pressure on gas prices for people, of course.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Thank you, Samuel.
What were gas prices 8 months ago? Like $1 cheaper? Something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
I can't remember for sure, but I mean, we've seen a noticeable uptick now. I mean, I see people posting now, especially if they own large trucks or SUVs, it now costs this much to fill up. Yeah.
I think we kind of got lulled during the pandemic.
I think you're right.
You know,
because
it's like this is kind of what it was like before the pandemic.
That may be true. Yeah, because we weren't traveling as much, so prices really flattened out during the pandemic. You've got a point, Samuel.
Yeah, I remember filling up for like $1.40, something like that at some point. So
now those days may be over for now.
Anyway, all right. Last night, cool looking picture, but it was an interesting looking sky as the sun was setting and had all that humidity out there. Very, very pretty picture, though. Thank you very much for that one. Obviously, that was before some of the rain moved on in here. We did have some rain in town last night. Not a lot. I mean, some folks picked up more, especially off to the west, and it was measured in, say, a couple of inches worth, and it was that swath from about Katua, Eagle Pass, and then right along US 90, just off to the west. You can see some lesser amounts, southern portion of Bexar County. Anything's great, a little free lawn watering, obviously, but it was right along this corridor where there were a lot, 2.5 inch rainfall amounts, maybe a little bit more on top of that in some localized areas. And yeah, it was just beautiful, beautiful rain. More rain is expected today in our western counties, basically, where things are really going to start to get going. There's nothing out there right now, maybe a little sprinkle here or there. Don't be surprised with that. But more of those showers are starting to develop. A lot more energy, once again, is coming off the mountains of Mexico. And as we get into the late morning and early afternoon hours, some of those are going to continue to develop out there to the west. And it'll be about the same timeline as yesterday. Early afternoon, we started to see some of those thunderstorms developing. That's going to be the situation again today. Those pockets of, well, some potentially severe storms. Now, we don't have quite the humidity, quite the instability in the atmosphere, but it's still somewhat on the volatile side. So we'll still have the chance for some of those stronger to severe storms. And that's going to be the situation into the early evening hours, and then throughout nighttime, we'll get some of those showers, thunderstorms. High winds, hail, once again, are going to be the biggest threats. That will continue to move on, and it looks like we see somewhat of a break then in the overnight hours, but we will start off with some more rain around here tomorrow morning, and basically the first portion of the day, we are going to be getting more rain. One computer model, just some estimates, and this is kind of a broad brush, but, there's still going to be an additional maybe inch, maybe a couple inches in places, and not that you'll necessarily get 3 inches of rain over the next couple of days around Honda, but with the, saturated ground from a couple of weeks ago and then the rain that we had last night, you have to watch it because there may be a little bit of some minor flooding in places in the next couple of days where you've already had obviously some rain and the ground can't hold anymore. 75 degrees today at noon. A couple of showers are going to start to develop around the area, maybe a thunderstorm primarily out to the west, and then early afternoon and by late afternoon we'll see more of those showers and thunderstorms. 81 high temperature. And then later on this evening, we'll have more rain. Of course, that severe threats basically all around the area. Any of these thunderstorms could produce high winds and hail. And then tomorrow, we'll still have some more rain around here, primarily the first portion of the day. Only 70 for a high temperature tomorrow. Lows are going to be about 60 here in town, maybe even upper 50s. Perhaps do we dip down into the upper 40s in parts of the hill country the next few mornings, and then back to the 80s by the weekend. We get a break in the rain Thursday, Friday, more rain Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
What I love about this 7 day is we're still holding summer at bay, at least for a little while longer.
Just putting it off a little bit.
I was thinking that too, is like, do we have a repeat of, 2007 or 9?
When we put it off?
The heat we held off till, June or July?
We didn't hit 100 that year.
At all.
Oh, wow.
It was either 7 or 9, I'll look it up, but yeah. It was wet as can be all summer.
That would be awesome.
We'll take that.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
I can win the lottery, too. So.
That's true.
Well,
speaking of which.
We have that coming up right now, 5:54.
Speaking of your lotto numbers, here they are. Pick 3, 336, Fireball 7, Daily 4, 7536, Fireball 1.
Cash 5 numbers 3, 5, 14, 15, 16. Texas 2-step 5, 17, 21, 32 with a bonus ball of 10. Good luck. Well, as the past couple of weeks have proven, when it comes to San Antonio in the springtime, there is a good chance we're going to see some significant hail. You may be used to it, but there's a lot about the science behind it you may not be aware of. That's the topic of this week's episode of KSAT Explains. Our show all about hail premieres tonight at 7 on KSAT.com, the KSAT TV app, and of course Facebook Live. How it forms, why we see it so often, and much, much more. You can watch it live. We'll post the full episode later this evening so you can watch it on demand. Right now, it's about 2 minutes till 6. The Texas Rental Relief Program back on track after resolving some tech issues during rollout, but thousands still need help paying their rent. Ahead on GMSA this morning. We'll have details on how people here in San Antonio can get assistance. Let's check TransGuide, see how things are looking out there right now at I-10 in Callahan. Looking east, there's 281 at the Quarry. Samuel is standing by with an update on your morning commute, and we'll get an update on the rain chances with Mike.
Six-year-old Soraya was shot and killed late Sunday night at a car meetup. Good morning, I'm Sarah Acosta. Coming up on GMSA, hear the heart-wrenching plea from her mother to the community to stop gun violence.
The FDA has granted emergency use authorization for the vaccine in 12 to 15-year-olds. I'm Alex Brachet in Washington. Coming up, the big question, will parents give their kids the shot?
A big-time win for the San Antonio Spurs against one of the best teams in the entire NBA. We've got a recap.
And taking a look outside with live cam, less humidity this morning after a noisy night for some people. I slept through it, but we did get some rain.
Live from KSAT 12. Good morning, San Antonio starts right now.
Good morning, Rise and Shine. It is Tuesday, May 11th.
Happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. I hope you got some sleep. I think you were awake.
I heard one crack of thunder. I don't know what time it was, but man, it was loud.
And I didn't hear it, and neither did Mike.
I slept right through it. So it was nice to see a lot of rain, especially off to the west, where a lot of it has been needed. We got some in town, just about officially, I think 1/100th of an inch of rain, but more is on the way. If you didn't get any rain, unfortunately, a lot of folks that got a bunch yesterday, you're in line for more today. So we're going to have to watch it over the next couple of days, actually, because once again, there may be too much in places. Nothing out there right now. It is calm. And you step outside this morning and it's like, wow, what happened? I mean, it is cooler. The humidity is lower. We do have some fog, though, up around Fredericksburg, Kerrville, Austin, a little bit around New Braunfels, and then out toward Rock Springs, although that hasn't improved in Rock Springs. It was zero visibility just about a half an hour ago. So just watch out for that in places, especially up there to the north. And again, nothing is showing up on radar right now, but there are some showers that are trying to develop. There's a lot more energy, and you can see some of those developing well off into the mountains of Mexico. So all this energy is going to be working its way across the area, and then as things do warm up a little bit this afternoon, we're going to start to see that about the same timeline as yesterday, where it was early afternoon. We started to see some of those storms popping up there, and then more and more, and there is the severe threat once again today. So temperatures, we're in the mid 60s right now. We'll stay fairly steady this morning. Again, it's nice out there, almost coolish. We got some 50s out in portions of the hill country, and then a decent warm up throughout the day. We'll make it up into the mid 70s today at noon. A couple of showers going to start to develop, even a thunderstorm or two possible, but then more obviously later on this afternoon going into tonight. And we'll top off with a high temperature of 81, which is lower than yesterday's 87, and then subtract about 10 from that, and that's what we're looking at for a high temperature then tomorrow. Once again today, though, there is the threat for severe weather, marginal risk all around the area. Any of those thunderstorms may produce some high winds as well as some large hail. We'll get a break down the road to finish up the work week, and then weekend, well, details coming up in a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority Samuel King, been kind of quiet up to this point. What's going on?
Yeah, not too much going on. We had more incidents overnight. Mike, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone out there. This is 37 at Jones. Traffic building a little bit, but flowing well this morning here as you approach downtown San Antonio. We did have this report of a stalled vehicle southbound on 37, but traffic still flowing well in that area. Taking a wider look at the region, things mostly okay, not too much red or yellow on the board. We had a crash here in 1604 in the northwest side. That has been cleared, so that'll probably come off the map here pretty soon. Looking at travel times, on the northwest side, 24 minutes if you're coming all the way in from Bernie into downtown San Antonio right now. 25 minutes from the New Braunfels area. 28 minutes coming in on I-10 from Seguin. And we'll have another update coming up.
A San Antonio mother beyond heartbroken after losing her 6-year-old daughter to gun violence Sunday night.
There was a vigil for 6-year-old Soraya Perez last night where Soraya's mother spoke out. Sarah Costa is live downtown with a message she has for the community.
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie, and hearing the pain in the mother's voice as she spoke to media last night is extremely difficult to watch, but that's the harsh reality Soraya's family is now dealing with. 6-year-old Soraya Pettis was in a car seat while her mother took her to a car club gathering near Southwest 24th Street and West Commerce Street Sunday night. San Antonio police say an altercation erupted, escalating to shots being fired as the car Soraya was in drove off to escape the attack. She was hit in the chest area and later died at the hospital. Police later arrested 23-year-old Andrew Ray Elizondo in connection with this shooting. The community holding a vigil honoring the little girl, Soraya's family, and her mother begging the community to stop the gun violence.
It took a young, beautiful child, from us, from this world. How many more do we have to lose before we say that's it?
Put guns down, stop using them. Stop, please. They took my baby because of a gunshot. Stop using guns, put them down, please.
Chief William McManus stressed that this investigation is far from over, saying if there were others connected to the shooting, they will be arrested. Elizondo remains in the Bexar County Jail facing a capital murder charge. Humble to Serves Ministries is trying to financially help the family. To learn how to reach out, you can just head to KSAT.com. Live from downtown, I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. Mark and Stephanie.
New this morning on our website, an SAPD officer was fired in February after he allegedly grabbed his estranged wife by her neck and hit her boyfriend in the face. But he was not arrested after the incident. It's a story that got our defenders asking a lot of questions. You can read more about this story right now on KSAT.com.
In other news, we're keeping an eye on the latest out of Russia. At least 8 people dead this morning after a gunman attacked a school there. Among those killed were 7 8th grade students and 1 teacher. 21 other people were hurt in that shooting. No word on a motive for the attack.
Now to an update on the coronavirus here at home. The number of people hospitalized remains around the 200 mark, but overall cases continue to trend downward. There were 108 new cases along with 1 new death reported. The positivity rate in Bexar County saw another drop, now stands at 1.7%. This morning, a major announcement from the FDA. Children ages 12 to 15 will soon be able to get the Pfizer vaccine.
The news comes as early as 60% of the adult population has received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. ABC's Alex Brachet has the latest from Washington.
A major relief for many families across the country. The FDA has authorized Pfizer's vaccine for 12 to 15-year-olds after the company reported the vaccine was 100% effective in adolescents and posed no safety concerns.
Now, parents and guardians can rest assured that in making our decision, the agency undertook a rigorous and thorough review of all available scientific data.
The American Academy of Pediatrics calls the decision a critically important step.
There's still one more step before shots can go into arms, and that's for the CDC to take up the FDA's recommendation and give the green light, which is expected to occur Wednesday.
So as soon as Thursday, kids could get doses, the same 2 as adults. Plenty of time to get both shots before next school year. So far, about 58% of American adults have received at least 1 vaccine dose. But vaccine demand is also declining, down nearly 40% in the last month.
Misinformation, disinformation can cost people their lives. And if it's not your life directly, it could be someone that you love.
Now, doses are available everywhere, from beaches to bars, and a growing number of places are offering incentives. But there's also growing concern about how many parents will get their kids the shot. A recent survey found only 29% of parents of children under age 18 plan to get them vaccinated as soon as the shots become available, and 32% say they would wait to see how the vaccine is working.
Parents need to know that getting their children vaccinated is the fastest way to allow our children to go back to being kids.
Another incentive, Dr. Anthony Fauci has already signaled that because of increasing vaccination numbers, Americans may soon see relaxed guidelines for wearing masks indoors. Alex Brachet, ABC News, Washington.
The Spurs back in action at home last night, facing one of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, and the Spurs did not disappoint. DeMar DeRozan had 23 points as the Silver and Black set a franchise record with 87 points in the first half, rolling to a 146-125 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. DeJounte Murray added 21. Keldon Johnson and Patty Mills had 20 each. Rudy Gay scored 19. Patty Mills and Rudy Gay combined to shoot for 9 for 15 on 3-point shots. The win snaps a 5-game win streak for Milwaukee. Spurs still in the running to make the play-in tournament for the postseason. They'll take on the Nets in Brooklyn tomorrow night. And the week has finally arrived. This Saturday, Tim Duncan will be inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. A class of 2020 that includes the late Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett was delayed a year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tim Duncan retired from the game in 2016 after 19 years and 5 NBA titles. He spent his entire career with our San Antonio Spurs. And the Mission's on the road today. They begin their series with Midland Rockhounds. That game is set for 6:30 tonight.
And time now is 6:10 and about 64 degrees right now.
Ahead on GMSA, we've got the latest on the cyber attack that shut down a major gas pipeline here in the U.S. and what that could mean for you.
And if you haven't been outside yet, it will be a little cooler, so don't be surprised. The humidity much lower this morning, so enjoy that. And we're expecting more rain.
.614 out of the latest on that cyber attack that shut down one of the country's biggest gas pipelines.
Today marks the 4th day the pipeline has been shut down, and now we're hearing from the cyber criminals allegedly responsible for it. ABC's Mona Abdi has the latest.
The cyber criminal gang accused of shutting down a major U.S. fuel pipeline is now acknowledging the attack, writing on its website that it's all about money. The FBI confirms the group based in Russia known as DarkSide developed a ransomware which has crippled the East Coast pipeline for 4 days.
We are preparing for multiple possible contingencies and considering what additional steps may be useful to mitigate any potential disruptions to supply.
According to Reuters, DarkSide posted a statement Monday saying it, quote, never meant to create havoc, and our goal is to make money and not creating problems for society. The hackers will not publicly say how much money they want. According to the pipeline's owner, some manually operated smaller terminals of the line are now up and running again, but the main pipeline is not expected to resume full operations for several more days. The economic consequences already being felt.
It affects anyone that needs to drive a car to and from work, to and from school, to and from a store to get groceries.
Experts say the shutdown could extend the recent jump in gas prices, already up 6 cents a gallon in the last week. A handful of gas stations like this one in North Carolina have run out of fuel. The pipeline shutdown also impacting the airline industry. Overnight, American Airlines said some nonstop flights from Charlotte, North Carolina will now make stops to pick up fuel where it is more abundantly available. In the meantime, President Biden says he'll be speaking with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the cyber attack, given that the hackers are a Russia-based group. U.S. intelligence has not yet tied Putin's Kremlin to the attack. Mona Abdi, ABC News, New York.
A Houston man who'd been free on bond from a murder charge now under arrest after neighbors found a pet tiger wandering around the area on Sunday. Houston police tweeted that 26-year-old Victor Hugo Cuevas was taken into custody last night, charged with felony evading arrest. But look at this video. Officers say they believe the tiger had belonged to Cuevas, but his attorney denied the cat belonged to him or that was even in his care. The tiger is still on the loose as the investigation continues.
In case you're wondering, tigers are not allowed in the city of San Antonio either. Still, we had a couple of tiger sightings this year, one at a southwest side home during the winter storm. That tiger was even given the name Elsa. She was cared for at the Southern Wildlife Rehab Center in San Antonio before being moved to a ranch in North Texas. We have the full story online at KSAT.com.
Crazy days, people. Right now, 6:17.
Let's go ahead and check in with Samuel King. When I was looking at TransGuide, things looked okay at I-37 and Jones.
Yeah, things looking fine in that area. And speaking of 37, Stephanie, 28 minutes if you're coming in from the Pleasanton area into downtown San Antonio, 19 minutes from Castroville, 17 minutes from the Lytle area. But we do have a crash. This is on the northwest side, far northwest side of Bexar County, heading up toward Bernie, between Bernie and 1604. This is at Ralph Fair Road. So this is heading westbound, so outbound out toward Bernie and that area this morning. So there's something to look out for in that area this morning. It is affecting traffic a little bit, but the traffic flows you can see here are mostly in the green, which is what we like to see. 1604 project, speaking of I-10 in that area, that's getting underway this week, sort of the appetizer for the main event next month. So there are some overnight ramp closures. Those have wrapped up for this morning, but again tonight into tomorrow morning and for the rest of the week. 1604 to La Cantera Parkway to eastbound ramp there, and eastbound ramp 1604 to Vance Jackson are going to be closed for construction. But again, this is just minor work. The big work expected to start next month. Here's a look at TransGuide. Stephanie mentioned I-37 at Jones. Let's take one more look here. How about I-410 at Rolling Ridge flowing well this morning. Mike, some fog though we're seeing on TransGuide cameras up in the hill country.
Yeah, way out in the hill country. There was a lot of it earlier, down to zero visibility at one point. So yeah, if you're heading up I-10 and toward the hill country, you want to watch it this morning. Otherwise, it's really pleasant out there. Temperatures are about 10 degrees below what they were yesterday. And a sprinkly shower, I guess you can't completely rule it out, but there's not really anything showing up on radar, just kind of a mention of it. However, later on this afternoon, we do have a better chance for more showers and thunderstorms around here, and a high temperature up to 81 degrees. Actually, in portions of the hill country, you might want to grab a light little jacket because we got some readings down in the 50s right now. And yeah, that was the sky before all of those storms started to move in there. And boy, it had some pretty good clouds that started to build up late in the afternoon. Right now, it's a fairly tranquil morning. Again, really pleasant when you step outside. Nothing, maybe again, a little sprinkle here or there, but nothing significant showing up on radar. But there are more showers, thunderstorms trying to develop off the mountains of Mexico. And when we heat up a little bit late this morning and then going into the early afternoon, we're going to see more of those developing out there in parts of the hill country. So the humidity has dropped down, and it is going to continue to drop down the next couple of days. That's going to allow low temperatures to be down around 60, maybe even upper 50s here in town, perhaps with low 50s and maybe an upper 40 or 2 in parts of the hill country the next few mornings. Then humidity is going to come back in here, and the nice thing is it's not just going to be humid, but there's going to be something to squeeze some of that moisture out. So we do have more rain chances in the forecast going in toward the weekend. Today, more showers going to be developing. Again, showers and a few thunderstorms. A lot of rain fell. I mean, there were many readings, especially right along 90. Some estimates about 2.5, close to 3 inches of rain. So you may be getting too much before it's all said and done today, as well as tomorrow. More rain out in portions of the hill country. And then tomorrow we'll have more around here, most of it in the first portion of the day. And then we will start to clear out just a little bit. And as far as satellite picture, just going back in time, you saw those thunderstorms just blossom and blow up, and then they just fizzled on out right about the time they hit San Antonio late last night. That appears to be the situation. Then later on today, we'll have some of those showers and thunderstorms. Then they're going to be dying down in the overnight hours. First of all, today, 75 degrees at noon. Couple of showers going to try and develop around here. A few more later on early this afternoon, and then by late this afternoon, more showers and thunderstorms around the area. 81 high temperature. Again, there is the threat for high winds and hail once again. Everybody is under the marginal risk. It's a number 1 on the scale of 1 to 5, but there is that chance for some of those storms to become strong or potentially severe. 70 high temperature tomorrow. 60 then for low on Thursday as well as Friday. We'll see some sunshine to finish up the work week. A couple of more thunderstorms developing Saturday, and then better rain chances Sunday and then again on Monday.
We won't miss out. Somebody's going to get rain.
Yeah, if you didn't get rain yesterday, and most of it was kind of west of 281, more rain chances today, tomorrow, and then the weekend.
Thank you, Mike. 6:21 on your Tuesday morning.
And just ahead, Facebook hoping to get users to read articles before they share them. How they plan to do that.
At Panera, we make dinner easy and cheesy. Order our delicious mac and cheese for dinner tonight with delivery or pickup, only at Panera.
What's the #1 retinol brand used most by dermatologists? It's Neutrogena. Rapid wrinkle repair smooths the look of fine lines in 1 week, deep wrinkles in 4. So you can kiss wrinkles goodbye. Neutrogena.
It came a long way to be found by you. Find more, spend less. Home Goods. Go finding.
I don't like veggies.
What?
Whatever you have at home, Knorr sides can turn nutritious veggies into mouth-watering meals. Veggies taste amazing with Knorr.
Welcome back, everybody. Facebook pushing to get users to read articles before they are shared. They're testing a pop-up that will ask users if they want to share an article they haven't read yet. Users will have the option to share anyway, similar to a feature introduced by Twitter last year.
And WhatsApp announced users who don't agree to the app's new privacy policy will not lose their accounts, but their functionality will get more and more limited until they say yes. Their new policy, which will allow the app to share user information with their parent company, Facebook, will go into effect this weekend.
6:25, and we are at 64 degrees.
And still ahead in our next half hour, Family Tapestry cutting ties with the state. Sarah Costa is staying on top of this story, and she's standing by with the latest in a live report.
And check out the roads with TransGuide. Samuel King will have a live report coming up right here on GMSA.
Last month, Family Tapestry's emergency shelter was shut down by the state. Now its contract with the state has ended. Good morning, I'm Sarah Acosta. In just a bit, the troubling history that led up to this.
Outside with live cam, it's a nice morning out there. We still have clouds in place, but temperatures are feeling fairly comfortable this morning after another round of storms in our area late last night into early this morning. And good morning to you. It's Tuesday, May 11th.
Thanks for joining us this morning. And yes, what a difference. So yesterday evening, went out for a bike ride, very, very humid. This morning, stepped outside and much nicer. We'll take it.
It's fantastic. We had that little bit of a front. We were talking about how that was going to be the focal point for more showers and thunderstorms. Still kind of hanging in the area, but it's just far enough to the south to where, yeah, it's nice when you step outside compared to yesterday when it was just like, you know, sort of getting slapped in the face with all that humidity. Very low humidity this morning. And as Mark mentioned, still plenty of clouds out there. Roads are dry. We didn't have a heck of a lot of rain in San Antonio proper last night. A lot of it well off to the west, though. Go out 90, and it was 2-3 inches of rain on average all the way out in toward Uvalde and heading over toward the Rio Grande. 64 right now, dew points at 60. Both of these numbers are a good 10, 11, 12 degrees or so below what they were at this time yesterday. We had all that humidity, those dew points well up into the 70s. Wind is out of the north at 8 miles per hour. And a little bit of fog to deal with, especially up around Fredericksburg now. Rock Springs has improved. It was down to 0 for a while. Most of it, though, is in the hill country. Austin, 3 miles, mile and a quarter up there at Fredericksburg to Rock Springs. So we'll just be dealing with a little bit of that. Nothing showing up on radar right now, although there's a lot more energy. And you can see some of those thunderstorms popping up there in the mountains of Mexico. Now those will probably get, as they come across the mountains, get kind of torn up. But there's a lot of energy that's moving across here. And so we'll see more showers and thunderstorms developing later on this afternoon. Less humid. A sprinkle is possible this morning, just kind of a mention of it. But then later on this afternoon, more showers and storms, low 80s for a high temperature. So lower than yesterday, obviously. And then some of those showers and thunderstorms late this afternoon and tonight, once again, the potential is going to be for high winds and hail. Some could be on the severe side. Tomorrow we'll have more showers and storms, primarily the first portion of the day. And it's going to be even cooler. Subtract about 10 from that. So we'll only be in the low 70s. And great to finish up the the end of the week. Some more sunshine Thursday, Friday, cool mornings, pleasant afternoons. And then we got more rain coming in here for the weekend. Once again, the outlook for the severe threat, all of the area, that marginal risk, a very low risk, but again, the chance for some high winds and hail later on today. More on the forecast, closer look at the weekend coming up in a couple of minutes. Traffic Authority, Samuel King, what is the very latest, sir?
Things looking pretty okay there, Mike, on the roads this morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. This is 1604 at Bandera with the blue sky trying to peek through this morning. So good morning to you folks out there. Had a crash here earlier this morning, 1604 in Braun, but that has cleared up for now. But we do still have a situation reported I-10 westbound at Ralph Fair Road, so that's heading away from San Antonio out toward Bernie, just so watch out for that in that area. Looking at the overall area, things looking okay. The only real issue we have here is over in Guadalupe County, south of Seguin on 123. Some slowdowns for the folks out there north of Stockdale. Taking a look at some travel times coming in from Seguin, 29 minutes on I-10 this morning, 26 minutes on 35 from New Braunfels, 27 minutes coming in from Bulverde onto 81. And we'll have another update coming up.
Family Tapestry, the wing of the San Antonio Children's Shelter responsible for its community-based care initiative, has canceled its contract with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
This move comes after the nonprofit was required to remove all children in its care at their emergency shelter and place them in other facilities 2 weeks ago.
Sarah Costa is live downtown with the troubling history behind Family Tapestry. Sarah?
Good morning, Mark and Stephanie. Yeah, state officials late last month issued a placement hold on Family Tapestry's emergency shelter, citing unacceptable conditions and continuing capacity issues, which caused that emergency shelter to shut down. So shelter leaders responded with an action plan 2 weeks ago to improve these problems. But now the nonprofit has canceled its contract with the state. Incidents at the now shuttered Whataburger Center included a 16-year-old in their care who attempted suicide by ingesting a metal bolt, and a 15-year-old girl who used a spring from a toilet paper holder to harm herself in her chest, according to a federal monitor's report. After the 15-year-old was taken to a psychiatric facility, she ran away from staff and picked up a glass bottle from a construction site and threatened to harm herself again, the report states. The monitor's report described that incident as neglectful supervision. The future of the state's community-based care initiative is expected to be discussed during a House Human Services Committee meeting today at the Texas legislature. Now, our Defenders team did reach out to a spokeswoman with the shelter asking for a response, but we never got one. Live from downtown, I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. Mark and Stephanie.
Other news this morning, a lightning strike sparks a house fire on the northeast side last night. Happened just before 11 in the 4300 block of Jeff's Farm, not far from Seguin Road. Firefighters say lightning struck the house and caused a small fire in that home's attic. One person living in the home was able to get out safely, and firefighters were able to get the fire knocked down quickly. No one was hurt.
A San Antonio mother beyond heartbroken after her 6-year-old daughter was shot and killed on Sunday night. Police say Soraya Perez was in her car seat when her mother took her to a car club gathering near Southwest 24th Street and West Commerce. That's where investigators say an argument turned into shots being fired. Soraya was hit in the chest and later died at the hospital. Police later arrested 23-year-old Andrew Ray Elizondo in connection with the shooting. The community held a vigil yesterday honoring the little girl.
She loved wearing big bows. I'll never be able to put another big bow on her head.
It took a young, beautiful child, from us, from this world. How many more do we have to lose before we say that's it?
Chief William McManus says the investigation is not over, and if there are others connected to the shooting, they will be arrested. Elizondo remains in the Bexar County Jail facing a capital murder charge.
Happening today, Judson ISD is hosting several blood drives at each of their high schools in memory of Judson High School football player Bryce Wisdom. Bryce battled a rare form of kidney cancer known as Wilms tumor. He lost his battle with cancer last summer. The blood drive opened to the community today from 8 to 2 at Wagner High School. You can also donate Thursday from 8:30 to 4 at Veterans Memorial High School. All donations are by appointment only. You can schedule one right now by calling the number on your screen, 731-5590 or by visiting southtexasblood.org/BryceStrong.
And we have the latest on the coronavirus vaccine rollout here at home. 46% of those currently eligible are fully vaccinated here in Bexar County. It is easier to get a vaccine now than at the start of the rollout, but supply continues to overwhelm demand.
Well, today the CDC will vote on whether to recommend Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine to kids between 12 to 15 years old.
However, as CNN's Britt Conway reports, pediatricians are already preparing, and doctors say there are preparations parents can make too.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, stick.
Pfizer just got the FDA's stamp of approval to extend the emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine for kids 12 to 15 years old. The FDA calls it a significant step in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
It was a relatively straightforward decision. The response to the vaccine was excellent, and in fact, it was even better in the younger age group.
Now it's up to the CDC. A vaccine advisory committee will meet Wednesday to decide whether to recommend the vaccine for that age group. Because it's the same vaccine, it's already available in a number of places. And pediatricians are prepping to get the vaccine too, making sure they have a freezer that's cold enough, training staff, and figuring out record keeping. They're also talking to parents. Childhood vaccinations have plunged since the pandemic began, and doctors say parents need to make sure their kids are up to date on all of their vaccines, knowing COVID-19 vaccines could be available by Thursday.
Getting more of our population vaccinated is critical to moving forward and past this pandemic.
Some parents are hesitant.
For my children, great immune systems, healthy, and we don't know what the vaccine does yet.
Others are ready, grateful.
A lot of peace of mind, a huge relief, to know that there's something out there that can protect him and all of our kids.
Okay, all set.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
6:39, about 64 degrees.
Tens of thousands of people are still waiting for rental assistance after the break. Why? Experts say the program has built-in barriers for some renters. And welcome back. It's about 6:42. The $1.3 billion state rental relief program is back on track after resolving some technology issues during the rollout.
But the program is still climbing out of a backlog of almost 90,000 renters, many still looking for answers. Our RJ Marquez has details.
And I have access to internet and a computer, and it was difficult for me. So I can't imagine what people that don't have access to that are going through right now.
Monica Aldridge applied for rental relief about a month ago. Her application has been held up by a single issue. The writing on her lease is too small to read.
There was nothing. I really don't know what else I can do. My lease is my lease.
Monica is one of nearly 100,000 Texas renters who applied for rental assistance. Since the application opened on February 15th, the program has given out more than $74 million to 11,000 households. Daily payouts increased rapidly in April, but San Antonio Legal Services Association Executive Director Sarah Dinjavin says the program has built-in barriers for some renters.
We have people who aren't used to accessing technology, who don't have email accounts, which are required to make a account on the online application, who don't have access to scanners, who don't know how to track down government documents that substantiate the benefits they're receiving.
Ariana Mitchell-Wilson represents 8 properties across Texas. Her tenants are largely low income. She says more landlords should be proactive in helping their renters complete applications.
If they don't have a phone, provide a phone. If they don't have an account or an email, provide an email.
According to the Rent Relief website, more than half are extremely low income. This program could be their last resort.
If the landlord can't keep them on site because the Texas Rent Relief Program isn't providing assistance in a timely fashion, then we're really setting up a whole swath of people for a really difficult situation.
4 San Antonians without access to the internet are struggling to collect the required documents. The San Antonio Legal Services Association is offering an application assistance clinic on Wednesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. You can go in person to their offices at the Resource Center at Haven for Hope. You can read much more about this story on KSAT.com. RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Moving right along, 6:44.
And things are picking up a little bit on the roadways. Let's check in with Samuel King.
Well, Stephanie and Mark, taking a look at travel times. First of all, 28 minutes coming in from Pleasanton on 37, 20 minutes from Castroville on US 90, and 17 minutes on I-35 from the Lytle area. This is a look at 90 westbound at Zarzamora. There is a stalled vehicle there. Looks to be a truck. But traffic still flowing well in that area this morning. Again, 90 westbound at Zarzamora. Some delays on Zarzamora itself, but as you saw on US 90, things looking mostly okay. Also looking okay throughout the region here. Just have our normal slowdowns here on the east side at Loop 410 northbound at I-10 East starting to back up. Not as bad as it was yesterday at this time when it's all the way down to Rigsby, but that is starting to build. So that delay is just something to watch out for. Also, watch out for this. Gas prices ticking up to 61. The average in Bexar County still relatively low compared to the state, which is at 270, 298 across the country. We've been telling you about the sort of the pipeline situation. And so until they get that back online, we'll probably start to see some more of these increases. I was doing some looking here, Mike, and we were talking about this, and it's looked like these are some of the highest gas prices we've seen in about 3 years. So there's something to keep in mind.
Not good news if you're heading off to the pump later on today. Thank you very much, Sam. Yeah, it was quite a light show, quite noisy for some folks last night. Mr. McClellan, another fantastic picture from you and all those lightning strikes out there. We do have more thunderstorms in the forecast later on today. Pretty quiet this morning, and yeah, a lot of clouds out there, but notice how that hazy line that we had yesterday is not quite as predominant as what it was because much lower temperatures and much lower humidity than what we had at this time yesterday. 64 right now, even 50s in the hill country. And then you got these numbers. And remember yesterday we were talking about how, you get above 60, it's humid, get above 70, and everybody was in the 70s yesterday for dew point temperatures. And now these numbers are about 10, 12, 13 degrees lower than what it was yesterday. That weak front that was kind of the trigger, or is kind of the triggering mechanism, triggered some of those storms yesterday. That sort of slipped on through the area. And so that's why we also have wind coming in here out of the north. So going back in time 12 hours ago, those huge thunderstorms that did develop and continue to work their way to the east and northeast kind of hit San Antonio and sort of fell apart. There were some pretty good claps of thunder, though, last night. Woke up some folks. And then we're going to have about the same situation later on this afternoon, where by, say, early mid-afternoon, some of those storms are going to be developing out in portions of the hill country, continue to work their way to the east in through the evening hours. Can expect high winds, hail, a lot of lightning and thunder as well. And then that should move on off to the east in the overnight hours. We get a bit of a break, some more rain around here, basically the first half of the day tomorrow, and then things will start to settle down. Yeah, it is the 10th of May and 11th of May. Pardon me, and 21 degrees right now, International Falls, 27 in Cutbank. So unusually cool air moving down here, just above freezing in Denver right now. So that cooler air is trying to push down to the south, and that's what helped to drop our temperatures down just a little bit around here. So today we will have a couple of showers around by noon, 75 degrees, and then a high temperature today up to 81, lower than yesterday's 87. More showers and thunderstorms are going to be developing, and again, some of those may be severe. There is the marginal risk all over the area today. Again, high winds, hail are the biggest threats, and then we'll have more rain around tomorrow. We get a break in the action Thursday, Friday. Also notice temperatures 70 for a high tomorrow, down to 60 for lows Thursday, Friday, maybe even upper 50s in your backyard here in town, perhaps upper 40s in the hill country. We kind of rebound to normal by the weekend and more rain by the weekend.
Very nice break in the temperatures, though.
Yeah, it can't beat this when you step outside this morning.
Thank you, Mike. About 6:49.
And this week is National Salvation Army Week, and we're going to talk to a spokesperson from the organization about how you can help the Salvation Army continue to serve the community. That's tomorrow on GMSA.
But today, this morning, outside with live cam, morning clouds, quite a few of them right now out near the airport. We're going to wrap things up after this. You're watching GMSA.
Good morning. Coming up here on GMA, the latest on that big news, the FDA authorizing the Pfizer vaccine for emergency use in children ages 12 to 15. What's next and what parents should know? Former acting head of the CDC and pediatrician Dr. Richard Besser will join us live right here on GMA.
Summer is is just around the corner, and after a year of COVID-19 lockdowns, Americans are itching for a change of scenery.
I think that pent-up demand for travel is really finally starting to get released, and people are excited now booking flights and travel again.
The TSA says traveler numbers are quickly approaching pre-pandemic levels.
I don't worry as much because I'm vaccinated already.
So how can you score the best deals and travel safely? We talked to the experts to get tips. First, now is the time to book that getaway you've been waiting for over a year.
If you wait until even mid or late May to book your flights, chances are there's not going to be any cheap summer flights left.
Most travelers pick their destination, then their dates, and then look at pricing. But to get the best deals, experts say flip that script. Search for cheap flights out of where you live, then settle on a destination that most interests you.
And that's how you're able to take 3 or 4 vacations for the same price you used to pay for one.
And be sure to pay attention to the COVID-19 guidelines at your desired destination. Some countries require a quarantine or proof of vaccination. Elsewhere, you just need to show a negative COVID test. Once your tickets are booked and it's time to travel, safety is key. And air travel may be better than you think.
The fact that masks are required and the fact that airplanes have all these safety features built in makes it a far safer environment.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
What is it that keeps you going during extremely rough times? Is it your family, friends, maybe even your job? Well, during today's Teacher Spotlight on GMSA at 9, we'll meet Miss Vicki Watson, band director at Kruger Middle School and a warrior who is really dedicated to her students, even during a frightening and exhausting diagnosis.
It's about 5 minutes till 7.
Let's take one last look at the roads with Samuel King.
All right, folks, let's take first look at the traffic times here. 23 minutes coming in from Boerne to downtown San Antonio. That's pretty good, actually. 27 minutes from Beauverde and 281. 25 minutes coming in on 35 from New Braunfels. Well, we do have some backups here. This is Loop 410 at Fredericksburg heading eastbound there. So let's take a look at that travel time on the northwest side, 9 minutes, and that is building here. Again, Loop 410 eastbound at I-10. Otherwise, across the area, things are looking okay, but we still also have some slowdowns there on the east side on Loop 410, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Boy, step outside this morning and it's much more pleasant. We have a lot of clouds still hanging around here, but temperatures are down about 10 degrees compared to yesterday. Same thing with the humidity. A little bit of fog, especially in northern portions of the hill country. And we're in the mid 60s right now, mid 70s at noon. A couple of more showers, a few showers and thunderstorms later on this afternoon, and then going into tonight. And some of those may be on the strong, potentially severe side. Once again, we're going to have to watch out for high winds and large hail. We will still have more rain around tomorrow. Breaking the action Thursday, Friday. Look at those temperatures in the next couple of days. A high of only 70 tomorrow, but then temperatures will sort of bounce back closer to normal over the weekend and some more rain over the weekend.
All right, thank you guys. Good Morning America coming up next right here on KSAT and ABC.
Have a great day, and we'll see you back here at 9.